As the day begun, I lived one life. As the day ended, I had begun anew, reborn with a new life, a new mission, reborn with a new vision. What may come, I don't know yet, but I am here alive, living my life to the fullest, with new love in my heart and soul, a gift to have, a gift to give, a new life of love, reborn.
Hello, the house. How are you? Hello, Ben Bacon Bits. I wish I knew off the top of my head that Alice Cooper song. I do not, but I am going to listen to it after this. So, happy Tuesday, happy September 2nd, 2025, and holy crapadoodle, we are 9 months into the year. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. We are almost over. And for me, that means I was hoping and still hope to reach 200 subscribers. So if you all can help me with that, I would greatly appreciate that. So we've been talking a lot over the last, oh, Mish, hello. I hope you're well. I too have been sort of incommunicado, so I hope you'll forgive me for not reaching out. But I think on Thursday for sure, I'm going to talk a little bit more about women and power and how it is being usurped by elements of the world. But today, Aria, hello. I wanted to focus in and continue the trend as I do every month with the laws of the universe. And we are in the 9th law of the universe, which is the law of relativity. And so we're going to definitely talk about that and how it's interconnected with the 8 previous laws of the universe. I do want to give people a chance to come in. So I'm going to ask, just got off the House Announcement Committee. Oh God, do I want to know, Mish? So did everybody have a good Labor Day? And just so I have a sense of where everybody's from, you don't have to give me the details, but what city are you located in or state? I'd love to know just for my own giggles. Missed a good meet last night. All right. I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone. I don't know what good meat was on last night. And I have been lessening my YouTube viewership just because my personal goal is to move a little bit more, be more physically active, and I can't just do that by sitting in front of this computer all day. All right, you're going to have to tell me what the meat was because I don't know what we're talking about, and I hate not knowing. And if it's something I can go back and watch. And hang on, my cord's twisted. What in the heavens? There are days. There are days. There are days. There are days. All right, hold on. Oh, God. Okay, it's untwisted. Sorry, guys. The Golden Earring Twilight Zone. Oh, okay. Well, so all right, so if you get a chance, just put the state or the city that you're from. I would love to know just for my own giggles. And let's dive in. So, what we've talked about a lot um, since I started this channel every month in the beginning are the 12 laws, universal laws of the universe. And really, I started that topic of conversation because each of us has the opportunity to affect change in ourselves. This is about self growth, self evolution, self edification, awareness, awakening. Um, and that for me is something that I'm constantly on this journey, right? I'm trying to tie all these elements together so that I'm more focused, I'm more attentive, forgiving. And it does play into um, healing, it does play into acknowledging that in order for the world to do better, I have to do better. Okay, I'm going to get comfy. Hold on. I got to get my feetsies in the right positions. I got to get my tush. All right. Sorry about that, guys. I'm all wiggly today. Um, and so I know who needs sleep. I wasn't up with you guys, but sleep does evade me these days. I'm working on that without pharmaceuticals. So for today, the ninth law of the universe is the law of relativity, which teaches us that every life situation is neutral. Oh, thank you. And only our perspective gives it meaning. So, for example, each person sees their situation or their problem one way, and so the law really compares. It's about comparison. So, I was on conversation with Christy today, and she was talking about very similar in this topic. It's kind of how we perceive ourselves. Um, Geez, Misha is really smart at Sunu, and I suck. Therefore, I'm useless. That's the language that we're trying to change. I'm thrilled. I acknowledge and am joyful and grateful that Mish knows how to use Suno. And for those of you that don't know, it's a music creation AI app. But so, it's each person will receive a series of problems for the purpose of strengthening that light within. The law helps us compare our problems, right, to the problems of others. And it kind of puts it in perspective. So this law, no matter how challenging our circumstances may seem, there are always others facing hardships. Well, so again, it's just an example, Mish, right? I am just trying to show that, there are people that do tarot readings. Now, I have been schooled in it and I don't find it easy to comprehend. So it doesn't make me stupid and it doesn't make me useless. It makes me not an expert in tarot, right? Um, the Karina is an expert in astrology, and my friend Hillary Harley is an expert in astrology. Um, Actually, I should probably put Hillary's link in here. I will. I'll do that because she's not on YouTube, but she has a wonderful podcast and website. Um, and so I don't fancy myself an expert with astrology. I love the stars. I don't get a lot of them, right? It doesn't make sense to me. Um, unless you can create, unless you use it to create disco, at which point it becomes a vector through which the end of the world is coming. Okay, Sassy Pants, he's so funny. Um, but this law is about understanding the challenges are not just obstacles, they're opportunities for growth. And that's really where I want to come in. It's encouraging us to view our struggles in relation to others, helping us find empathy and gratitude, right? And that's where I want to sort of focus our discussion. Um, and and tie it in with the other laws of the universe because they're all interconnected. Everything we do is interconnected. Hold on, I don't know. I'm having some technical difficulty here, and there's a bright light in my face, and I need to figure out what I'm doing here. Okay. Thank you, Mesh. Oh, that really makes me feel good. I'm an expert at growing things from the ground. Um, and I am. I have to say confidently that I had the biggest bloody eggplant I've ever grown. My cabbages are through the roof. My potatoes and sweet potatoes, I think, are going to be off the charts. My carrots are popping up, and you can see the tops of the head, and it was tiny, tiny, and now they're getting this big. So really exciting. The onions, I don't know. Um, hey, don't mess with Christmas music. Although I refuse to turn it on until after Thanksgiving, until after Halloween. Anyway, so yeah, I'm really loving being in the earth, and I'm planning for next year and visualizing, and it gives me hope, and it gives me um, fulfillment and a sense of purpose. All right, I'm a little bit dehydrated, but I am, and I think I sound better than I have in the last few weeks. I'm still nasally, and that's not going to go away now because of allergy season, but you're funny. So, the law of relativity teaches that nothing has inherent meaning until it's compared to something else. And the reason that this is important is it invites us to interpret experiences through contrast, helping us reframe challenges and deepen our spiritual understanding and honor our growth, right? So, thank you. I definitely feel better. Although I'm gray, I couldn't afford to get my hair done this month. So, last month. So, you're going to watch this thing get gray until the end of September. All right, puppies. Everybody needs to relax. So, the first law of the universe is divine oneness, right? Everything is energetically connected. When we bring in the law of relativity, we experience unity more deeply through the contrast. So, moments of separation help us to recognize our interconnectedness. If you think of it from a spiritual perspective, even isolation is a sacred illusion that invites us back to oneness. And so I would ask you guys, how does this contrast help us appreciate our oneness with others, even in grief or conflict? And I'm just curious. I feel like I missed something special last night. And so I'm just giving you guys a chance to chime in. Wisdom. Gray hair is wisdom for sure. Okay. Well, while you're thinking about that, let me dive into the law of vibration, which is the second law of the universe, right? And really, what that says is everything vibrates at a frequency, including our thoughts, our emotions, and our intentions. When we introduce the law of relativity, the vibrational states are interpreted through the contrast. A low vibration only exists in relation to a higher one. And so the way that I would discuss this is, as I'm grieving through my dad, that's a low vibration. It doesn't make it bad. And Witchy Trista had talked about this on one of her lives at least a month or so ago, that low vibrations aren't necessarily a bad thing. They're opportunities for us to grow, right? To evolve. And so, but we have to have something to compare it to. My grief with my dad is not the same as the grief with my mom. Um, the grief with my mother, I was inconsolable. I was bereft. I'm sad I lost my dad. I'm sad that he passed. I loved my dad. There's a difference in the grieving and the difference in the relationship. Karen Suki, hello. Welcome, welcome. And then from a spiritual insight on the law of vibration, our perception of vibration shapes our energetic state. And we all know this. So how does, reframing a low moment shift your energetic frequency? And what I would say to that for me, I'm just looking at comments. Oh, hello, Victor. Welcome. Um, so when I think about my perception of my grief of my dad and how it shapes my energetic state, I'm not living in a constant state of sorrow. I'm still sorrowful, but I'm not living in that space. And so my vibration, it's going up and down, up and down, up and down, rather than in the past, I was way down here and could not crawl out to have a higher vibration. But you need the contrast. So that's what I would pose to you all. Millie, hello. Thank you for being here. Truly appreciate it. Love seeing you guys popping in. And so when we talk about the law of correspondence, which again, it's that is as within, so without, as above, so below. Your outer world mirrors your inner state. When we interconnect it with the law of relativity, our inner and outer worlds mirror each other, but relativity helps us compare and kind of decode those reflections. The external conflict or chaos reflects internal beliefs. So I would pose to you what external situation feels heavy and what internal belief is it reflecting. So when I think about my external situation of grief, because I can relate to that, and there's a heaviness to that, the internal belief that it's reflecting, I'm not worthy. So it brings a comparison and it gives me a direction to focus my energy because I am worthy. And I know that now. But there was a time where I didn't know that. There was a time I didn't believe that. And so when Christy was talking today, sort of about us, someone might be doing something better, instead of having envy about it, have a gratitude or gratefulness. So, you know, um, everybody has different skill sets. Everybody has different levels of expertise, and everybody has a different experience. So I call myself an experiencer. I am still learning skills. I'm still learning what it really means to awake and be available to information, spiritual connection to my guides. I kind of looked up there for a second. I was like, I was going to see somebody coming down. Um, and I compared for a long time. I have several of you and really good friends that I feel they get it and it just resonates and they rattle off experiences and connections and their guides talk to them and I'm like, okay, well, clearly no one's talking to me. So clearly I'm not getting any kind of, hellos. So I must not be worthy. That is not the message. I'm still a student. I don't understand everything that people have been presenting. I have to learn and study it. Like I was saying about tarot, tarot doesn't resonate with me for me to do tarot readings. I love to receive a tarot reading. I'm fascinated by how people perceive and intuit what the cards are saying. Okay, so what did Ben Bacon say? Yes, it's important to stop using hierarchy to put people and ourselves on. And 100%, Ben. I think that, we all want to feel validated. We all want to feel important. We all want to feel special. We do. That's human nature. It's like, see me. I go back to Avatar. I see you. you know, I do. I see you. And so, what does that really mean? And why can't someone then see me? And the law of relativity is really to just balance the comparison. Comparison's not bad. It gives us something to aspire to acknowledge. So Misha's saying, like everything, it's what we put into and are willing to receive from it, and expectations as well. And I agree with that 100% wholeheartedly. I don't know why I think I could read without my glasses on. So sorry about that. I'm a little blind. So, that's sort of the law of correspondence and how it's connected to the law of relativity. So when we talk about the law of attraction, right? Like attracts like, we know that. Your dominant thoughts and emotions sort of magnify your experience. When we talk about the law of relativity, we refine our desires through contrast. What we don't want helps us clarify what we do want. So when we think about when we're putting something out there, and this is beyond, this could be a great date, it could be putting out great financial goals, it could be health goals. Great. You need the comparison and the contrast. Well, what don't I want to do? I don't want to be anorexic. I do want to be healthy. You need the contrast. Where's the balance in between? And kind of from a spiritual perspective, discomfort clarifies what our soul wants. What do we want to manifest? Okay, so somebody said something somewhere in there. So let me just dun 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 dun. Okay, there was some kind of movie going on. All right. Okay, I must be missing something, so that's okay. No worries. As long as you're not asking me a question and I'm ignoring you. So, the discussion point for the law of attraction and how it's interconnected with the law of relativity is what past discomfort helped you clarify what you desire most? Maybe a soul desire or a personal growth. And that's just that's food for thought, right? So then we talk about, and I do want to give you guys a minute in case someone's typing. I don't want to rush through these. But when we think about the fifth law, the law of inspired action, which is the manifestation requires aligned movement. So in order for something to happen, I really want that Mercedes. You have to work to earn the Mercedes. It's not just going to magically appear in your driveway because you said, I want a Mercedes. I know I'm simplifying that, but it's really important for me to sort of relate it. You know what I mean? So when we talk about relativity, the significance of action, it's relative to the context. A small step may be monumental depending on where we started. When I think about my health journey and eating and having a new relationship with both food and exercise, nourishment, validation. It's important to me. But I started out as a skinny girl thinking I was obese. And so 40 years later, I'm a little fluffier than I was. I never was obese back in the day. And here I am now. And the perspective is I don't want to be a skinny little mini. I want to be healthy. I want to feel well. I want to feel energized. I want to feel purposeful. And from a spiritual insight perspective, progress is sacred when viewed through the lens of personal evolution. So I would ask you, what actions felt small to others but sacred to you? And I'm seeing some stuff in the chat. So let me just zoom on over. I know Victor has to count for points for a new Mercedes. Oh, okay, Ben. Karen says, a hierarchy doesn't work because all of us are alternating our vibration all the time and changing to match others' vibrations when we are with them. And I would say yes, and comparison's not a bad thing, but their vibration or their comparison, it's not, doesn't mean it has to become your same desire. And I think that's why I was trying to relate these different topics of areas of expertise, right? Because I'm a Reiki practitioner, I'm a Reiki master, but I don't consider myself a guru or a master within the Reiki community because I'm still experiencing and practicing. It's like you become a doctor. You're not the most sought after physician in your field after just graduating. It takes years of success in order for you to be the go-to. My cardiologist didn't become a life-saving cardiologist overnight. He had to learn the skills and the techniques, etc. So I think that for me, that's what this is sort of, it you could be a great cardiologist and never achieve that status. Mish says, all right. I needed family. I reached out and was willing to accept the love that has come my way without so many paranoid doubts like I used to have. I gave myself and therefore accept it now in return, which is a huge blessing. And that's so important. So, what was the movie that you watched last night? I'm just curious. All right, so now we talk about the law, which I really hate the name of it, but it's the sixth law. Indigo's here. Hello, Indigo. So happy that you're here. The law of perpetual transmutation of energy. This is the essence of this law is energy is always in motion and it can be transformed. The law of relativity as it relates to that is we recognize this energetic shift by comparing the past and the present emotional states. Right? And so our emotional alchemy is validated through contrast. So think about that a little bit, right? If energy is always in motion and it can be transformed, when we think about relativity, it shifts by comparing our past and present emotional states, which is what I shared earlier, that with the death of my mom, it was much different than the death of my dad. It doesn't invalidate love or the love I have for both of my parents. Just because they're dead doesn't mean I still don't have love for them. But the different emotional states that I am in and have been in and was in, it's evolved. I was bereft when my mother died. I was not bereft when my dad died. Um, I was sad and, I felt a little lost, but it didn't paralyze me into an emotional state of despair. And I think that's part of that is my growth. Then we have the seventh law of the universe. And this is the law of cause and effect. And the essence of this cause and effect, right? And we pretty much are all familiar with it, is every action creates a ripple. Every action impacts a situation one way or another. Outcome. So let me think about this a second. When you think about relativity, outcomes gain meaning through the contrast. What feels unfair may reveal a deeper soul lesson. Every action creates a reaction, an effect, a ripple, an impact. Every effect holds deeper meaning when we view it from a spiritual perspective. What effect in your life felt unfair until you saw the deeper cause? And I'm going to relate a story from somebody else that I know. It's not my story. That um, I'll say a friend. It's a person I know felt it was unfair that others were receiving recognition for their work while this person wasn't receiving recognition. And it took this person, I would say, almost a year through conversation, through introspection, through wanting to really understand why they weren't being acknowledged, to realize they weren't putting in the effort. They weren't going above and beyond. They weren't doing the work. They weren't doing the homework, for lack of a better word. The laws of cause and effect. If you want the acknowledgement in your career or your professional circles, you're not just going to walk in and they're going to go, "Oh my God, it's Teresa. You are so fabulous. You know everything." But you've done nothing. You can't be recognized that way. It's like, "You're the Deepak Chopra." No, I'm not that enlightened. I can aspire to be that, but I'm not. And that's a simple sort of explanation, but it's nothing but ripples. As long as you said nothing but nipples, we're good, Miss Boobs. I think she gets that and finds it funny, I hope. So it's really important. Like, where in your life have you felt where something was unfair until you saw the deeper cause? And I think it took me a long time with my complicated relationship with my dad to iron out myself. And thankfully, this happened before his death for me. That I was valued and I was loved. Um, but the experience, I had to go through those other feelings to come out the other side, because I was comparing how he was treating other people. All right, hang on. Mish is saying, oh, I don't know. Again, it's kind of like taking medicine. Sometimes it takes time for it to work. If we try something and a week later, no difference, so stop taking it. Sometimes the results only come from perseverance. Right. So, and that's a perfect example. I mean, even with chemotherapy, right? My dad went through chemo. I have a friend that's going through chemo. I know other people that are going through chemo. Um, let's be honest. Sometimes the first 6 treatments don't make a diddly squat difference, but the next 6 will make a huge difference. Perseverance, perspective, comparison, and how we might have the exact same diagnosis. We don't have the same exact body. Just saying. Okay, we're at the 8th law, the law of compensation. And we've talked about this one last month. You're compensated in alignment with your energy output, seen and unseen. When we think about the law of relativity and its role, value is perceived through the contrast. Unseen rewards, like peace or clarity, are deeply meaningful. So, from a spiritual perspective, think of the universe compensates in soul currency, not just material form. So, what soul gift have you received that isn't visible but deeply valuable? And I would say my soul gift is love. It's not visible, not always. I think understanding and comprehension of my worth and my value is not something that can be seen. It is something I experience and I have to acknowledge and I have to resonate with. That's what's that works for me, right? So what would you say your soul gift is that you've received that isn't visible to others? Um, so, when we think about relativity helps us experience unity through the opposite of separation. It deepens our appreciation of connection. That's kind of like the divine oneness. And when we think about relativity allows us to interpret our vibrational shifts. What feels low only exists in contrast to what's high. What makes you feel high? Does this make sense? When we think about relativity, helps us compare our inner and our outer worlds to spot the misalignment. Our external chaos reflects internal beliefs. I kind of feel like the chat went quiet. Um, Relativity refines desire through contrast. So we learn what we want by experiencing what we don't want. I don't want to be yelled at and mistreated and condescended to by another human being. I do know that I want the opposite, someone who's engaged in conversation with me, makes me laugh, um, speaks truth, but has a kindness, right? So I know what I don't want anymore. When we think about how relativity helps us value movement, so small steps feel monumental depending on what your objective is. So I used weight loss or being healthier. Um, Small steps. I'm not going to be 30 pounds lighter, just by thinking it. But the small steps that I take, the stretching, the toning, the more nourishing food that I'm eating, the attitude, the mental attitude, small steps. I'm not going from 0 to 60. You don't win a marathon by not running the 26 miles, one step at a time. The difference is the speed, the stamina, the strength, the consistency. Sorry, listening while I work on hydrography for a map. Okay. That's okay. I want to make sure people were still here, and it's okay if I talk to myself. I'm very good at it. Um, and when we think about relativity helping us, um, I guess, so the progress that we make can be sacred, and it's personal. Our evolution is personal. We still can compare. I can't compare someone's weight loss if they had gastric bypass surgery, where they're dropping weight like boom, 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 boom. Not the same. Doesn't make their journey any less valuable or important or monumental, and it doesn't make mine any less monumental. It's just a comparison. And that's how we get to see two sides of the coin. You know, relativity helps us recognize transformation. Pain, I should probably make this into a song. Pain becomes wisdom when compared to the past, right? Ah, you're going to love the series I'm about to do on menopause. So during menopause, combined with some pale ale, I learned that I want to be thin again. Being overweight was just plain uncomfortable. And that's one of the things that has inspired me. Seriously, Karen, I struggle using hypnosis, self-hypnosis techniques, using the thought process, giving myself permission to be valuable enough to be healthy. I I'm not naive that I'm going to be 120 pounds. I also probably shouldn't be 120 pounds, right? But it's not so much the number anymore, it's the physicality. I don't want to feel weighed down. I don't want to feel lethargic. I don't want to feel like I'm in the muck and I'm climbing out all day. I want to feel vibrant and energetic and sleep well and have my gut feel happy and not constantly communicating its displeasure with me. Those are the things that I think we have in common as flawed humans. We're perceiving that my value is based on my thinness. My attractiveness is based on being thin. No, my value is based on being healthy. And having been a person who has died, my value is in being alive, but being healthy and alive. I don't want to feel 500 pounds all day long, trudging through the muck just to get out of bed and put clothes on. And I don't want the self judgment that I'm just a schlumpa dumpa and I'm not worthy of more. So it's an attitude. And I think the law of relativity, you need to have the comparison. And that's an old comparison. When I was skinny, and it's funny, recently a friend of mine and I, we saw pictures of each other and we're like, oh my God. And we remember distinctly feeling like we were the size of small condos. I said to her, I would give anything to be that girl again. And knock her upside the head and say, your value is not based on what someone else says your weight is or should be. We can't undo that. What I know some of the parents, my friends who are parents, have done with their children is to acknowledge and support them healthfully instead of saying, geez, you need to lose some weight. Come with me and let's go for a walk. Keep your mom company. Let's move. They're instilling in their children value in movement, value in good eating. And it doesn't mean you can't have banana cream pie on occasion. It doesn't mean that you don't have whatever makes you happy that's not the best thing in the world. But you're aware of what you're putting into your body and why. It tastes good. Excellent. As long as you know why. Right, Karen. The number does not matter. It's how you feel. And are you trying to be good to your body? And look, it's our vessel. It's the only one we have in this iteration of life that I'm aware of. You know, I'll use the Mercedes again. If you want to drive a Mercedes and you're going to spend the $100,000 is going to cost, right, to drive that dang car, you're not just going to leave it out on the street and not take it to get a car wash and get vacuumed and checked up on and oil changed. You're going to treat it like this incredible vessel. Our bodies are incredible. We're Mercedes, we're Porsches, we're whatever the next level of car is. Those are the only two I really know. Lamborghinis. So it's what am I seeing here? I know I see photos and remember not liking my tummy or not liking my proportion. OMG, there was nothing wrong with how I looked. So, you know, and I've talked about this before, you know, or maybe I haven't, but the perception of my dad my whole life was don't be fat. It came from his mother was a chunkamunka. She was a short Italian lady who lived on pasta. That's what poor people ate in the day. Pasta and beans, pasta and peas, pasta in whatever scrap you could throw into a pot. And she had 7 children, a husband, and other family members living with her on one bus driver's salary in New York City in the 20s and 30s. Hello. So, yes, being heavy was not an attractive thing in my father's eyes. He still adored his mother. And when he was telling me not to be a certain way, my mother was a skinny little Minnie, and he didn't want her to get fat. You tell someone enough that they're getting fat, eventually they're going to get fat. My mother lived her depression through food. She got heavy. I got heavy from a series of medical things that prevented me from doing the exercise, and then my depression kicked in, and I just didn't eat well. I didn't eat horribly, but I ate more cakes and devil dogs than I care to share. And, you know, and I allowed myself to just become a couch potato. And then after my heart attack, I was so afraid every time I had a chest pain that when I was doing something physical, I was going to drop dead. And it's still a fear in my own head. I have to walk through that. I have to walk through that fear because I want to be healthy and I want to live this remaining chapter of my life, whether I have 20, 30, or 40 years. Please, Jesus, don't let me live 40 years. I do not want to live to my hundreds. The point being is that, you know, sorry, I'm laughing here. Indigo, you crack me up. I'm a Toyota Corolla. I'm proud of it. Might be chunky, but I'm dependable. God bless you, sweetheart. Yes, you are. You are dependable is what I mean. I don't think you're chunky, but that's okay. It's, again, this is perception, right? So Ben says, yes, that's the thing. It's important in this reality or whatever this is to value yourself now and yourself when you're 80. Because when I'm 80, I don't want to be, and I'm 62 and I'm like, ay vey, oh God, and everything's achy. It's achy because it's not moving. And I said to my brother yesterday, I'm like, so I've been doing exercise. He's like, oh, that's really great. I said, everything hurts in places that I haven't, but it's not hurt, right? It's not like pain in the set. It's just sore because those muscles haven't been used literally in years. Um, so it's just moving and grooving and slow. And I'm really taking this slow because I'm determined to integrate this way of life into my everyday. So it's just part of my everyday. That's part of the self hypnosis. Every day in every way, I'm getting better and better. Every day in every way, I'm getting better and better. Every day in every way, I'm getting better and better at eating to nourish my body, right? Exercising to nourish my body, to strengthen my body. It's got to carry me into the next day, into the next week, into the next month, into the next year. And, when we think about this, I don't want someone else to have to carry my ass anywhere unless it's romantic and you're picking me up and sweeping me across the threshold. Don't see that happening because it's not something I want to happen. I'm just throwing that out there. But Indigo said, I had the opposite dysmorphia. When I was sick and thin, I got a lot of compliments. Now I'm healthier, heavier, and I had so many people comment negatively about it that it messed up my head. I see that and I get it and I acknowledge it. I can only encourage you. I don't want to say flip off anybody else, but it's what makes you feel good. If you feel good where you are at this moment, then girl, you are who you are in the body that you want to be in, and that's it. If you want to be healthier and that might mean that you drop a couple of pounds, great. But I remember being really thin. I, I remember receiving huge compliments and I didn't believe them. So, this is what the law of relativity is, right? The comparison. I was thin and I didn't appreciate being thin. I'm fluffier. I need to appreciate that this vessel is going to get me to whatever the next day, the next week, the next month, the next year, the next moment. It's how do I feel? How do I respond? And it's nice that someone pays you a compliment, but if you're not paying yourself the compliment, nobody else matters. I'll never forget, and I know I've told this before. There was a woman I worked with, and she said to me, why is it that 99 people have told you you're beautiful and you only focus in on the one who said you weren't? I pose that to you. Why is the one negative voice? Is it your voice? Because you don't see your beauty? You are cute as hell. Absolutely. So that is what I want to encourage you in this next month when we think about the law of relativity. You can compare, there's nothing wrong. Have the perception or the awareness that where you were served as the lesson to accept and love where you are. And that doesn't mean where you are doesn't need tweaking and improvement. It does, of course. That's the beauty of all of this for all of us. But we need to honor the vessel as we continue through the remaining laws of the universe and the remaining days of our lives as we grow, as we awaken, as we become aware, because our souls really, as our souls transition into our next life, whatever that is, or if you don't believe it and we just end, regardless, this is just a vessel. It's just a vessel. So that's the importance for us, is to have clarity on where we want to go, where do we want to move to, where do we want to see ourselves, how do we respond to other people. It really is also about us having awareness when we see other people. Oh my God, she'd be so pretty if she'd lose some weight. Who the F are you? That person's probably as beautiful as they're going to be, because the beauty is in their soul and in their heart and in their minds. Their physicality, okay, maybe it's not as pretty. You could still be skinny, skinny, skinny and not beautiful, because your outside is not a reflection of the nasty, ugly self inside. So it's not about this vessel, right? I talked about the kintsugi. I could be a shattered vase and I have been glued back together. I'm still beautiful because the essence of that vase, this vessel, is me. So Indigo says, yeah, it took me a while to brush off the compliments, but now I'm taking better care of myself, I don't pay people mind. Beautiful. That's wonderful. And Ben says, I still want to go to Oklahoma to visit Victor and see what energy experiments he's doing to see if he's zapping neighbors' cows and whatnot. Okay. Um, what are you saying? After thoughtful complementation, maybe contemplation, I have come to the inescapable conclusion: this map sucks, must mean it's done. Okay. Thanks, Millie. Yeah, 100%. I think, the value of us, of me, of the shell that was broken, that has been put back together lovingly, determinedly, intentionally. That's what makes me beautiful. That's what makes me considerate. That's what makes me um, me. And you have to allow the voices to be present. You also have to learn when the voices are not your voice. It's not for you. It's usually a reflection of somebody else saying something about themselves, and it's easier to say it about another person. And it can be hurtful. People can be hurtful. So, as individuals, as we grow, as we awaken, as we become aware of our words and that they matter, is it important to say, hey, Teresa, you probably should go to the gym, rather than, it is so nice to see you. I'm so excited, Teresa, that I get to spend this time with you. Let's go have coffee. Let's go for a walk in the park. That's where we need to watch what we say and what we do as individuals, right? So that we can raise our own vibration and we can support others in their journey. Just my P's and Q's. Karen says, depends on the country you're in also. During the years I was chubby, I traveled to Africa. Over there, a well-rounded woman is beautiful. It is also a sign of wealth to be chubby. That was in the old days of Italians. But we also were short, stocky people. That's also cultural. It depends on where you lived in the mountains, etc. So it's very important for us to acknowledge our own physique and what's important to us. And it's not just about the physicality. It's it's the spiritual. What's your essence? If you are an ugly person inside, it doesn't matter what your outside looks like. If you're nasty and condescending and hurtful to other people, it doesn't really matter what your facade looks like. It just doesn't. So that's what I would encourage everybody through this month as we talk about and move through the law of relativity. And on Thursdays, we talk about the role of women in society and what our place is and what our value is. And I encourage you all, if you can participate, I would love that. Um, and then I have a friend who I'm really looking forward to. I don't have the date yet, but we're going to be talking about menopause and how menopause impacts our physicality, the ability to lose weight, hormones, um, sort of our sexuality, our sense of womanhood, and how society is a reflection of who we are and where we've come from. And we have to, in order to move forward on where we're going, we have to know where we came from. And we have to be clear about our voice. And it's not really political per se, it is about what do we honor about ourselves and what do we want for ourselves. There is nothing wrong with us wanting to be homemakers. There is nothing wrong with us wanting to be mothers. There's nothing wrong with us not wanting to be mothers. There's nothing wrong with us not filling someone's version of a traditional role. So I'm really excited to talk about this stuff over this coming month. I hope you all can participate. For those of you that are tuning in on the replay, please put in a comment, where you're from, if this resonates with you. Yes, Millie, inner beauty has a glow that's unmatched. So 100%. And let me be clear, this isn't man bashing. I have a huge respect for men, and there are some really great men in this community, as well as men that I know. I honor and respect men, even men who I disagree with. But at the end of the day, we'll talk about it on Thursday. So, having said that, thank you all so much for joining me today. Please hit that like button. It's so important. I really want to hit 200 subscribers by the end of this year. And maybe blow by that number if I can. That would be fantastic. But 200 is my goal. As always, it is such a blessing.
Unknown caller.
This person keeps calling. My gosh. It is such a blessing to have you here and to have these conversations with you. I really enjoy them and they challenge me. So, as always, I send you with love, with light, with healing, with compassion, with joy, sprinkled with laughter and giggle. Until I see you next time, may you all be blessed. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
I'm like an ice skater
Next time,
dancing
guys.
for the first time on the form solid ice. No more fears, no sorrows, because I love the common tomorrows. This life has barely begun, but now I know what I want to do. I know what I want to be, reborn. Finally feeling I am fulfilling my destiny, with a heart filled of gratefulness, happiness, joy, overflowing of kindness and love. Oh, so much love. I feel like love is the supportive pillar in my soul, and it only grows each day. I'm reborn in love.